Messenger not able to get away from his desk and could not Skype in, so Jay Kanzler was filling in for him. Late scratch John Deal, Speaker of the House in waiting, so Scott Sifton is filling in for him. And former Chief of Staff of Governor Holden, Jane Duker. Jane, we'll go up with you next. Charlie Dooley and this health department where the guy siphoned $3+ million out of the funds and then killed himself. More information came out about that. Allegations saying that the county was slow to respond to this.
Oh, I mean, I read the story, and I think people, at least I did, from looking at the facts that had previously been uncovered, were concerned that the county had, talked to the guy and sort of basically tipped him off that they were on to him. But when I read the story that was done by the Post, because I guess they had done a lot of sunshine law requests and really had delved into the story further, I mean, I was sickened. So here you find out you have knowledge, and in what isn't in the paper that should be remembered as the context and the timing. When it came out about Mr. Muth embezzling from the health department, that was less than like 3 weeks after it had come out that the police board member had gotten a contract on the police lab. So what people may not remember is that there was a huge incentive for the ninth floor to not have another, FBI investigation come out. So, that context is interesting. But so they had knowledge. There was internal Department of Health financial people who were concerned, and and then it went to all the way up to the chief operating officer of the county. I mean, that's
Gary Earls.
And so what happened is they told Mr. Muth that, I don't know if it was on a Friday or the night before, you need to come in and see the COO of the county. I mean, this isn't, his boss, Dolores Gunn. This was the top guy other than the county executive himself. Well, obviously he knew what was going on. And then in the meantime, unfortunately, you find out that he was texting his girlfriend indicating he was going to take his own life. They called the police. The police and his girlfriend are going to his house, and he commits suicide. And, a man died. Now, granted, he may have been an embezzler, but he died. And it was because they wanted to handle it internally. I mean, the idea that a non-law enforcement person would handle, a 4-year embezzling scheme on their own, and then, it makes...
I think the other question is, it's almost $4 million, wasn't it?
Right. Well, and that's obviously going to hamper, efforts to retrieve the taxpayer monies, back, because the way they botched this.
Well, how do you not find $4 million of siphoned funds?
Oh, I mean, well, we have Dolores Gunn, who is, the moonlighting cabinet director.
Right.
There's been a lot of stuff going on in the Department of Health. And when it comes out, all of this, they send her out to the press to say, oh, yeah, nobody should be disciplined because we don't know yet. And, the idea that you could ever notice a crime and not report it instantly. And the reason they didn't want to report it is because Chief Fitch had called them out on the police lab, and they didn't want to do it again. And I'm concerned that if the man hadn't taken his own life, that the county would have still been handling it internally.
Scott Sifton.
There's another agency that I think might have some accountability here as well, and that is the State Auditor's Office. They pride themselves on detecting embezzlers of public funds. They have a protocol for it. They have a checklist that they look at, ways to identify an embezzler. A lot of it's sort of, textbook law enforcement stuff. And, ultimately this guy was discovered, and we're talking today about how, he was sort of tipped off, before he was really held to account. But to your point, McGraw, $4 million, really? Did it have to get that far? Did it have to be that extensive?
Right.
Did at what point do we begin to question the state auditor for letting it get this far?
Right.
And for not detecting it sooner?
The guy was living in a mansion, too. I mean, he's clearly living above his means.
Absolutely.
In my district, as it turns out, so one less constituent.
And 3 days before 3 days before he took his life, he was calling the accounting department saying, I got a mad vendor on my hands. I mean, trying to push payment.
Right.
So the internal Department of Health people knew there was a problem. Then they had the perpetrator calling to say speed up payment, and it still wasn't reported to law enforcement. I can't even fathom that.
Jay Kanzler.
No accountability. And I'm not a big fan of going in every time that something bad happens, because bad things will happen in terms of how things are run. But once again, even piggybacking on this KSDK story, at some point you have to be accountable. You say there's a mistake, and rather than, again, coming in and saying, all right, we found embezzlement, $3-4 million, turned it over to the FBI, turned it over to the police, come clean. It's a pattern in the administration over there that they won't do that. And it just seems to me that it is political in nature. We have a big election coming up for county executive, and it's inconsistent with winning elections to have a poorly run administration.
It's another knock against the Dooley administration. This now you can rack up 15 or 16 just off the top of your head.
It's every week something comes out.
Are there any Republicans who have thrown their hat in the ring?
Yes, there's one.
There was? Who's that?
Mr. Pusosa is running on the Republican side, and then County Councilman Steve Stenger is challenging County Executive Dooley in the primary.
Yeah.
I was going to throw my hat in the ring, but it missed. I missed the ring. So.
You have a problem with the League of Women Voters not filling out your voter your voter card. That's your.
Right. I know, and I will never let that happen again.
All right. Scott Sifton, Jane Duker, Jay Kanzler, 931 here, Big 550 KTRS.